Well, the blue side of London will call themselves the pride of London. And of course, the red side of London will also call themselves the pride of London. But based on what we've seen, I think the blue side of London, they have the bragging right now to call themselves the pride of London. I'm talking about the blue side of London. I'm talking about Chelsea Football Club. Blue is the color, football is the game. That is the starting point of their anthem. Even then, as an Arsenal fan, I don't like it. I don't like to admit it, but then again, I have no choice. The record speaks for itself. Chelsea Conference League winner for the season 2024-2025, and of course, the first edition of the redefined Club World Cup. Chelsea again are in the final of that particular tournament. I can't remember the last time Chelsea lost the final. Maybe against Leicester City in the FA Cup a couple of seasons ago, and of course maybe 2008 when they lost the Champions League to Manchester United. Ever since then, aside from those two, I can't remember when last Chelsea lost a final. But then again, they will be playing against either Paris Saint-Germain of France or Real Madrid of Spain. But then again, Paris Saint-Germain looks to be the team to beat at this particular moment. But then again, they have to get to the final first when they play against Real Madrid today. Kylian Mbappe against his former club, talking about Paris Saint-Germain. What is going to happen tonight? Well, only time will tell. I'm talking about time. It is the time for sport in a Jiffy on our Impact 102.1. My name is Adeni Obafemi Falana. There's a lot to talk about. Already we've touched on the Club World Cup. So in case you don't know, in case you are just turning your phone on or maybe just turning your data on, because I know data subscription right now it's very, very expensive. But then again, our mothers, they're still sending WhatsApp messages to us. They forward message to us. Send this to 200 people so that you can buy a car by the end of the week. No, now, nobody, my mother, they do it. Even my mama myself, they do it for us. My name is Adini Obafemi Falana. We'll be going on a very, very, very quick break. When we come back, we'll be diving into all the stories fully this morning. Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to Sports in a Jiffy on our Impact Radio 102.1 FM Lagos.
Hi, Impact.
Hi, how may I help you?
So, tell me a random fact about ants.
I'll tell you one. Did you know that ants can actually lift 20 times their own body weight?
Now I know.
Ants are really hardworking.
You're listening to Sports in a Jiffy on our Impact Radio 102.1 FM Lagos.
Welcome back to the show. This is Sport in a GV on Impact 102.1. My name is Adeni Obafemi Falana. And of course, yesterday we brought you the news that 21 players took part in the first training session for the Chan Eagles at the Remo Star Stadium in Ikene. But as this morning, we have confirmation that 5 more players have arrived at the home base Super Eagles camp in Ikene, Ogun State, ahead of this year's African Nations Championship to be co-hosted by Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. Because the team's media officer talking about Promise Ofoge disclosed this on Tuesday evening. The 5 players are Musa Zayad from Ekanemi Warriors, Aminu Adam from Kano Pillars, Anas Yusuf from Nasarawa United, and of course Godwin Obaje from Rivers United, and Kabiru and Mohamed from Kwara United. The latest arrival took the numbers of players currently in camp to 26, and of course Ofoge revealed that the 26th player trained on Tuesday evening under the supervision of head coach Eric Chair. This year's Chan will be the 8th edition since it began in 2009 in Côte d'Ivoire. The home-based Super Eagles will battle Senegal, Congo, and Sudan in Group D. So the camp of the Super Eagles are currently buzzing right now with 26 players. In case you don't know, of course, in case you're just tuning in, for the first time, on our Sport in a Jiffy, the Chan tournament is the tournament for players, that apply their trade, in their country. So this is for players that plays in the Nigerian Premier Football League. So if you don't see the likes of Victor Osimhen, Ademola Lookman, just know that this is not their tournament. It is not like grade B tournament like that. So don't look at it like a grade B tournament. It's just to make sure that to give every country, the chance to build their league. So when your league is playing, when they are playing football regularly in your league, you churn out stars, to represent your country. So according to the Super Eagles manager Eric Chair, he has selected the best players, from the Nigerian Premier Football League to represent the country. Hopefully they'll be able to do the job when they play on the continent. Still sticking with football news, regarding Nigeria. Flying Eagles head coach talking about Aliyu Zubairu has selected 20 players for the WAFU B Under-20 Cup of Nations, according to a report. And reliable captain talking about Daniel Bameyi, goalkeeper Ebenezer Akot, Bidemia Mole, and Divine Olise are among the regular players named in the squad. Zubairu also handed invitation to a number of new players, including Bayelsa United goalkeeper Clinton Andy, defenders Abbas Sadiq and Marvelous Freedom, also part of the team. Midfielder Abdul Jalili Kamal Dane, also part of the team, as well as forward Imrana Mohammed and Kudus Olayiwola. The Flying Eagles are drawn in Group A with host Ghana and Benin Republic, and Nigeria will take on perennial rivals, talking about Black Satellite of Ghana, in the competition's opening game on Thursday, 10th of July at the Pram Pram Center in Accra. What a funny name, but then again, I hope nothing funny happens to the Flying Eagles, when they take on Ghana on July 10th. The Flying Eagles will then clash with Benin Republic on Sunday, 13th of July, in a 3-team group. The full list of the players invited are goalkeepers Ifeanyi Ebenezer Akot of Sporting Lagos, Clinton Andy of Bayelsa United. The defenders are Abba Khalid Sadiq from Niger Tornadoes, Odinaka Okoro from Sporting Lagos, Daniel Bameyi of Bayelsa United, Akiniran Oluwashile from Water FC, Ahmed Akinyele from Remo Stars, and Marvelous Freedom from Ikorodu City. Marvelous Freedom. So there's another type of freedom. A nice one. I like that name. It looks like someone from the south region, of the country. I've got the midfielders are Divine Olise from Foster Academy, Bidemi Amole from Real Sapphire FC, Tai Maigana from Wireless FC, Ezekiel Pangu from Inspire Academy, Rawa Mohammed from Beyond Limits, Matthew Kingsley from Kings FC, Abdul Jalili Kamadin from Kwara United Academy, Kara Football Academy, and of course Shafiu Adamu Duguri from Wiki Tourist. With the forwards, Abdullahi Mohammed from Kwara United, Good Day Otayuli Mbus from Calabar Rovers, Imrana Mohammed from Marvelon FC, and Kudus Olayiwola from Peace Sport Football Club. So that is that regarding the Under-20 WAFU B tournament. Still sticking with news from African football, moving straight away to the tournament currently ongoing in Morocco, talking about the Women's African Cup of Nations Morocco 2024. Yeah, you might be wondering, we are in 2025 and the tournament's no tag 2024. The tournament should have been played last year, but due to some issues, it had to be moved to 2025, and then Morocco hosting the tournament. And of course, today we begin the round 2 of games, at the AFCON tournament for the WAFCON tournament. I beg your pardon. With in Group A, Zambia will take on Senegal by 5 p.m. and of course, DR Congo versus Morocco by 8 p.m. And of course, tomorrow we'll see Tunisia versus Algeria, Northern Derby there. And of course, we'll also see Botswana versus Nigeria. And of course, Botswana, they are already making out, as they will say here in Nigeria. I hope the Super Eagles, or the Super Falcons, by the way, I hope they shut the mouth of Botswana. And of course, on Wednesday, we will see, on Friday, we will see Ghana versus Mali, and of course, we see Tanzania versus South Africa. The top 2 in each group qualifies to the quarterfinal automatically. Then they look for 2 of the third best placed team from the three groups to join them in the quarterfinal. And sticking with women football, but this time around we are moving to Europe. Sweden made it to the quarterfinal of the UEFA Euros women's tournament over there in Europe, and of course they defeated Poland 3-0. Arsenal striker, talking about Blackstenius, scored in the 28th minute, and Slally made it 2 in the 52nd minute before Utig, rounded off the victory in the 7th minute for Sweden. 3-0 for them against Poland. Germany had to come from behind to book their place also in the quarterfinal by defeating Denmark 2-1. Nielsen scored a penalty to equalize for Germany after Vansgaard, gave Denmark a lead in that game. In the 66th minute, Scholler, made sure of victory for Germany. And of course, Germany, alongside Sweden and Spain, are the three teams have made it to the quarterfinal at the Euros tournament. Today we will see England versus Netherlands and France versus Wales. England lost to France in the first group game. Netherlands defeated Wales. So England need at least a draw in today's game to stand a chance of qualifying to the quarterfinal. A loss today and they are out of the tournament altogether, because I don't expect Wales to get any result against France. No disrespect to the Welsh women, but I don't think they can do anything against France today. So that's that regarding the Women's World Cup. Still sticking with tournaments. Earlier in the show I said Chelsea are through to the final of the Club World Cup after they defeated Fluminense 2-0 yesterday. Former Fluminense striker and of course former Brighton striker that was signed midway through this tournament, talking about João Pedro, gave Chelsea the all-important victory yesterday, scoring 2 goals on his debut for Chelsea, first in the 18th minute and of course in the 56th minute yesterday. So those 2 goals made sure that Chelsea will be playing the Club World Cup final against either Paris Saint-Germain or Real Madrid. Talking about Paris Saint-Germain and Real Madrid, that game 8 p.m. Nigerian time today, so you definitely want to keep both eyes on that particular game. Will Chelsea beat either of Paris Saint-Germain or Real Madrid? That is left to be seen. As a rival, I don't want that to happen at this particular moment. So that's that regarding fixtures and of course tournaments currently ongoing. So let's move quickly to the world of transfer and tell you that Victor Osimhen is in the news once again. He has been in the news for the entire summer transfer window, and of course he found himself at the center of intense transfer speculation this summer, with Turkish champions, talking about Galatasaray, making a bold attempt to sign the prolific Nigerian forward because Antonio Conte has underlined the club stance by insisting that any departure must align with the financial terms outlined in Osimhen's contract. And of course, Galatasaray are intent on bringing back their star striker from last season, and of course, they have expressed their readiness to match the 75 million euros release clause, for Victor Osimhen. However, the Turkish side proposed paying the amount in staggered installments, a condition that Napoli has flatly refused. The Naples club insists on receiving the full sum upfront, backed by bank guarantees if a deal is to be finalized. And of course, complicating matters further, Saudi Arabian side Al Hilal, they are reportedly ready to meet Napoli's demand in one go, potentially putting pressure on Galatasaray to revise their offer quickly if they hope to win the race over the Saudi Arabian club. Due to terms renegotiated in last contract renewal, Osimhen is set to earn 24 million euros net in the upcoming season if he stays with Napoli. That figure is seen as excessive by Napoli president Aurelio De Laurentiis, particularly for a player who no longer fits into the club's long-term plans. With Osimhen's contract running until 2026, this summer presents a strategic window for Napoli to secure a transfer fee before his value potentially declines or he leaves on a free transfer in the summer of 2026. So that's Napoli saying we don't want Victor Osimhen again. But then again, despite the fact that we say we don't want him, you guys still have to pay the full release clause for Victor Osimhen, and that is 75 million euros. I don't know what they are. what they are taking over there in Naples, but I don't think they are really serious. You are saying you don't want this player, and again you are still saying that we want this amount for him, despite the fact that we don't want him. They are very, very unserious. Very, very unserious. Al Hilal from Saudi Arabia are ready to pay the entire 75 million euros for Victor Osimhen at a go. Osimhen has refused to move to Saudi Arabia, and of course, a potential return to Galatasaray. It's looking as the only option that Victor Osimhen is speaking at this particular moment. But Galatasaray definitely don't have 75 million euros to pay at a go to Napoli. They want to, pay it instrumentally, but Napoli are saying no. We want it to be paid, at once. Would that happen? Well, that is left to be seen. Okay, moving away from that, let's talk about Arsenal quickly. Victor Gyökeres' proposed move to Arsenal could collapse amid an impasse in negotiations with Sporting as CP. Gunners officials have left Lisbon after failing to strike a final agreement with the Portuguese club. And of course, if the deal falls through, Jose Mourinho Fenerbahce are ready to try and sign the striker on loan. Up until last week, the Gunners were confident of signing the Swedish striker after agreeing personal terms with him. And the former Coventry star Gyökeres is prepared to return to England and sign a 5-year deal with the North London side. But as things stand, the move might not go through after all, as Portuguese outlet report via the Daily Mail that there is an impasse between the fee Arsenal are willing to offer right now and what Sporting Lisbon are demanding. Record reported earlier this week that Arsenal had submitted a verbal offer of 65 million euros plus a potential 15 million euros in bonus payment, which meets Sporting's original demand of 80 million euros. However, the Portuguese giants are now demanding 70 million euros as the fixed fee and the remaining 10 million euros in add-ons. And of course, if Sporting stick to their stance, there is a good chance that Arsenal will ultimately end their pursuit of the 27-year-old striker. Arsenal fans, that is the news that most of you don't want to hear right now, because on Sunday the news broke that Arsenal were in advanced negotiation with Sporting Lisbon for Victor Gyökeres. But right now the owner of Sporting Lisbon, the president of Sporting Lisbon, I beg your pardon, is playing the hardball right now and saying that no, we want the deal in this way, we want the deal this way, we want the deal this way. Will Arsenal budge or will Sporting Lisbon budge? Well, that is left to be seen. I'm talking about a transfer that is close to being completed right now. That is Anthony Elanga proposed move to Newcastle United, because yesterday the player arrived in Newcastle on Tuesday afternoon to undergo his medical after a £52 million fee was agreed with Nottingham Forest. The figure could rise to £55 million with £3 million in potential add-ons inserted during negotiations. Although there are still the final points of the deal to be sorted, it is understood the framework of it is already agreed. Newcastle launched an offer late last week, and discussions since are understood to have centered on the structure of the payment. And of course, Elanga himself is understood to be excited to play for a club in the Champions League. So Elanga moved from United to Nottingham Forest for 15 million pounds, and of course he is moving from Nottingham Forest to Newcastle United for 55 million pounds after playing 2 seasons for Nottingham Forest. So that means his value went from 15 million pounds to 55 million pounds, 40 million pounds extra within the space of 2 years. That is what can happen to a player if they play regular football and they play very, very well. So moving away from that, let's move to other sports right now, talking about the 3rd Grand Slam currently ongoing in England, and that is the Wimbledon Open. We already had our 2 Grand Slam, talking about the Australian Open, the 1st Grand Slam of the year, and of course the French Open, or Roland Garros as they call it there in France. And now it is the turn of the 3rd Grand Slam, talking about the Wimbledon Open. After that, we are moving to the last Grand Slam of the year, which is going to be the US Open. Open. I'm talking about the Wimbledon Open. They are close we are getting close to the end of the tournament itself. And yesterday, two-time defending champion, talking about Carlos Alcaraz, produced a Wimbledon masterclass to end British hope for Cameron Norris, Cameron Norris run and move into the semi-finals once again. Second seed Carlos Alcaraz underlined why he is the tournament favorite with a scintillating 6-2, 6-3, 6-3 win yesterday. The Spaniard will face Taylor Fritz, the American fifth seed, bidding for a first major titles in the last four. Of course, Fritz secured his place in the Wimbledon semi-finals for the first time with a 6-3, 6-4, 1-6, 7-6 victory over Russia's Karen Kachanov yesterday. Alcaraz is seated behind Italian rival Jannik Sinner because of their respective world rankings, but his superior record on grass court and the current ostrich for the man from Spain makes him the man to beat. So Carlos Alcaraz dispatched Cameron Norris threat easily, in 3 straight sets, and of course he will face off with Taylor Fritz from America. Taylor Fritz is 5th seed, for this tournament, but I expect Carlos Alcaraz to make it, to the final at the end of the day. But then again, in the women's category, world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka narrowly avoided a seismic shock as she fought back to beat Lara Sigmund and claw her way into the Wimbledon semi-finals. Title favorite Sabalenka had to twice come back from a breakdown in the deciding set to beat the 37-year-old German 4-6, 6-2, 6-4. She went further to say, she had this to say, to newsmen. After the first set, I was looking at my box and thinking, book the tickets, we're about to leave. Talking about Sabalenka, 27-year-old. She now went further to say, I had to make sure I didn't show I was annoyed by Sigmund, even if I was slightly. He said, I didn't want to give her that energy. And Belarusian Sabalenka, we faced 13th seed Amanda Anisimova for a place in the first Wimbledon final. After the American beat Russia Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova 6-1, 7-6. So that is Aryna Sabalenka making it to the final yesterday. After she lost the first set, she said she was already looking at a box and looking at her people and probably thinking, let's book a ticket back home. I don't think I'll be able to beat this German woman. But somehow she was able to claw her way back into that tournament. And of course, beating the German 4-6, 6-2, 6-4. Today, we'll see the concluded part of the quarterfinals at the Wimbledon Open. And of course, the singles women's quarterfinal, we'll see Andreeva take on Melina Bencic. And of course, we'll see Koboli from Italy. We'll see Iga Swiatek against Samsonova. Iga Swiatek ranked 8 at this ongoing tournament. Will play against Samsonova, who is ranked 19. And of course, in the men's category, we'll see Koboli versus Novak Djokovic. And of course, we'll see Jannik Sinner against American Ben Shelton. Jannik Sinner will most likely beat Ben Shelton. It is looking like that, because Jannik Sinner is world number 1 when it comes to tennis, in the male category. And of course, we expect Novak Djokovic to make it also, to the semi-final, beating Koboli. But if there's anything about sport, it is upset part of the game. So you probably fancy Koboli, beating Novak Djokovic, or Ben Shelton beating Jannik Sinner. For those of you that knows how to put your money where your mouth is, you know what to do with that piece of information. But just so you know, it is not a financial advice from me, so that you don't call in on the show tomorrow and start saying that you said we should put our money on this thing. It did not happen. No, I won't be here to pick your call. Maybe Tolu will be here to pick your call. So that's that, regarding the show. Before I leave quickly, I need to pick Tolu's thoughts on a particular question. And also our viewers our listeners at home can also, call in and answer, even when the show has ended. Tolu, Victor Osimhen is being offered over $700,000 a week in Saudi Arabia. Let's say $750,000 a week. So that's like $39 million a year. And in Saudi Arabia, by the way. And of course, he's being offered roughly 16 million a year in Turkey. That's divided by 52. That's like $300,000 a week. So if you are Victor Osimhen's brother, what will you tell Victor Osimhen?
In terms of what actually? Like, what is the advice?
Advice. Should he take the offer from Saudi Arabia? Or, he said he wants to play in Europe. He wants to continue playing in Europe.
Okay.
So the biggest clubs in Europe, Arsenal, Chelsea, United, Liverpool, they all need strikers. Those 4 teams I mentioned need strikers. Liverpool doesn't have a striker. Darwin Núñez, they are selling him. And of course, the ill-fated, the story about Diogo Jota that died last week, And then Arsenal also needs a striker. Chelsea, maybe or maybe not. Then United also need a striker. But all these big teams are saying the salary is too much, which I find very, very absurd. That's an absurd excuse, because I don't like playing
football. I've heard like
I don't like playing the race card, but I think it's because Victor Osimhen is black.
Or maybe that's why
they don't want to pay him that amount. So the 2 teams that are offering him the wage he's getting right now in his club in Italy, and even paying more than what he's getting in Italy, they are one from Turkey, Galatasaray, over to $50,000 a week. Then the one in Saudi Arabia, over $700,000 a week. If you are Victor Osimhen, brother, what will you be telling Victor Osimhen's sister? What will you be telling Victor Osimhen?
You should say where the money is now.
You should go to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Is that the woman in you talking about?
What would your advice? To me, that's just how I'm actually maybe like looking at it. Yeah.
If you're looking at over $30 million a year, just go 1 year or 2 years
and
to Saudi Arabia, then come back to Europe.
Yes, then do the whole contract thing, and so that it's not that maybe you now sign something where they now hold you down.
Yeah, exactly. Just sign 2 years, then come back. According to, he's 26. So 2 years in Saudi Arabia. When you're 28, come back to Saudi Arabia.
It's not too much now.
Abina.
Yeah.
Yeah. Come back to Europe. Come back to Europe and come and enjoy your football. But then again, we don't know where Victor Osimhen will end at the end of the summer transfer window. But my smart money is on him moving to Galatasaray. I think Galatasaray will find a common ground between him and between them and Napoli. I think they'll find a common ground, and Victor Osimhen will still be playing his football in Europe. So that's that this morning regarding sports in the Jiffy. My name is Adeni Abafim Falano. Until we'll come away again tomorrow. Bye for now.
You're listening to Sports in a Jiffy on Impact Radio 102.1 FM Lagos.